Johnny here. Right now I'm in Havana, and in this short film I'm going to talk a little bit about tourism in Cuba. Most cultural holidays to Cuba will start in Havana, a city of magnificent decaying colonial architecture, monuments and parks, museums and galleries, music and bars, and of course large old American cars. But the first thing you'll probably notice wandering around Havana is the near total lack of consumerism. Cuba is still a communist country with no commercial influence from America, and as such there's almost no evidence at all of the large multinationals we're used to seeing in the West. You won't find any Starbucks or McDonald's here. There are no billboards advertising Coca-Cola. There are no glass-fronted shopping malls, which is actually really quite refreshing. The whole city gives you a sense of stepping back in time. It's like wandering around a film set. In Havana, you're going to need at least a couple of days. You're going to need to go on a city tour. You're going to need to go to the Buena Vista Social Club. You're going to need to see the museums and bars, and you're just going to need to hang out. It's a really fun place. From Havana, my advice is to head on to Trinidad on the southern Caribbean coast. In 2 weeks' time, Trinidad will celebrate its 500th anniversary. Founded only a few years after Christopher Columbus discovered the Americas, the town shot to prominence in the 19th century as one of the world's largest exporters of sugar. With its fine plazas, its palaces and churches, its famous cobble streets lined by colourful homes, the town is now regarded as one of the finest examples of colonial architecture anywhere in the Caribbean. And so well preserved is the town that in 1988 it was granted UNESCO World Heritage status, and today forms a fundamental part of most cultural trips to Cuba. From Trinidad, you might like to continue east to visit the Revolutionary Center of Santiago de Cuba, or head west to enjoy the amazing landscapes around Viñales. Or you might just like to do something completely different. Of course, Cuba has much more to enjoy than just the cultural highlights that Trinidad and Havana offer. The country is blessed with some of the most beautiful landscapes anywhere in the entire region, through which you can go cycling, trekking, or horseback riding. Right now I'm at a government ranch called La Guabina in Pina del Rio province in the west of the country. Each year, Wild Frontiers take this place over to do a horse riding trip, and that's primarily why I'm here now. But if riding isn't your thing, there's still plenty to be enjoyed. You can go hiking up into the nearby hills, you can go boating or fishing on one of the numerous lakes of the region, or you can indulge in some bird watching. Or you can just kick back and relax away from the more chaotic life that urban Cuba has to offer. And of course, finally, there are beaches. Needless to say, Cuba is an island over 1,000 kilometers in length, with the Gulf of Mexico on one side and the Caribbean Sea on the other, and has hundreds of beaches waiting to be enjoyed. And in our experience, Cayo La Visa, which is where I am now, is one of the best. Relatively close to Havana and relatively small in size, Cayo La Visa offers all the activities you'd associate with a modern beach resort, such as snorkeling, diving, kayaking, sailing, but doesn't have you feeling like you've been swamped by mass tourism. It, like a number of other locations around the country, offers the perfect ending to your cultural trip to Cuba. But of course, a cultural holiday to Cuba is not going to be for everybody. With luxury accommodation pretty much non-existent, transport pretty basic, food, though in places very good, a lot of places pretty plain, and a service level that could at best be described as eclectic, for those looking for a top-end experience, you're sure to be disappointed. But if you're the kind of traveller that's interested to see a country that hasn't really changed in the last 50 years, that hasn't been overwhelmed by all the trappings of modern consumerism, and are happy to go with the flow in one of the last remaining communist countries in the world, then here in Cuba, you will find one of the most friendly, authentic,
historically interesting and culturally rich countries in the whole of Latin America. My advice is to come soon before it all changes.